Thoughts on the readings for March 4th, Leviticus 9, 10, Psalms 108, 109, 2 Corinthians 1, 2. Leviticus chapter 9 tells of Aaron officiating at the altar on the 8th day. Verses 1 to 2 Aaron offered for himself the sin offering and the burnt offering. Verses 3 to 22 Aaron offers for the people the sin offering, burnt offering and peace offering. Verses 23 to 24 The glory of Yahweh appears and he consumes his portion of the offerings. Chapter 10 outlines the disruption of the ceremony through the sin of Nadab and Abihu. Verses 1 to 7 Nadab and Abihu, evidently under the influence of strong drink, offer strange fire and are struck dead. Verses 8 to 11 Aaron warned against the influence of strong drink. Verses 12 to 20 Moses attempts to complete the ceremony by instructing the priests to eat the people's portion of the offerings, a. the remainder of the peace offering. Verses 12 to 13, CP Leviticus 9 verses 4 and 17, b. the remainder of the peace offering. Verses 14 to 15, CP Leviticus 9 verse 21, c. the remainder of the sin offering. Verses 16 to 20, CP Leviticus 9 verse 15. The above breakdown has been copied from Brother John Martin's book, The Schoolmaster and Exposition of the Book of Leviticus. Psalm 108 is a psalm of David's in which he expresses thanks for past deliverance and expresses his confidence in Yahweh's continued help. In verses 1 to 4 David describes his unshakable conviction in God's steadfast love and the awesome deeds God has done for his people. Therefore the psalmist will compose songs of praise to his sovereign, songs that will be acknowledged by all nations who have beheld the mighty power of the God of Israel. The Lord has promised deliverance to his faithful saints. Verses 7 to 10 recount successful battle campaigns. Verses 11 to 13 are a plea for help against the Edomites having suffered earlier setbacks. The writer's confidence will stay firm. Psalm 109 is a psalm of David. It is in first application calling for the Lord to execute retribution against David's treacherous counselor, Ahithophel. But the psalm is messianic and principally applies prophetically to our Lord Jesus Christ and his betrayer, Judas Iscariot. Of this we can certain since the Apostle Peter speaks of Judas when quoting this psalm in Acts 1 verses 16 to 20. It is verse 8 of the psalm which was quoted. Why were such judgments called upon Judas? Because he failed to show pity to the poor and needy man. Verses 16 and 22. The extortion era mentioned in this psalm were the priests of Israel, who paid Judas 30 pieces of silver for his part in the betrayal. The psalm reveals much about the base character of Judas of which the Gospels are silent. But the treachery of Judas was to no avail, for Yahweh's care and love encompassed his anointed, and delivered him. 2 Corinthians is often called Paul's great letter of comfort. Chapter 1 tells us that one purpose of suffering is to render the sufferer a reservoir of compassion and comfort for others. The apostle described his rock as the one who raised the dead. Compare 1 Corinthians 15 verse 32. Details can only be conjecture. The coming of Timothy with the news he carried about the response of the believers at Corinth was a tonic that revived his spirit. Chapter 2 provided further advice for what to do next if the wrongdoer was to be fully recovered. The chapter tells us that in Troas he pondered his blessings in our Lord Jesus Christ. His imagery is drawn from the practices which accompanied the Roman triumphal procession. His ironic language contrasts the apostles' sufferings for proclaiming the gospel's message with the indifferent and lavish lifestyle of the Corinthian believers. Paul concludes the chapter by a declaration that it is God who he seeks to please and not fickle people driven by their own motives. Penned by Warwick Rosser and his team, produced by christadelphianvideo.org.